You obviously love listening to podcasts. Well, have you tried an audiobook? Hi, I'm Kim, and I am an audiobook listener. It's actually my preferred way to, quote unquote, read. And if you haven't tried listening to one yet, go to www.fromringtoveil.com/freebook to get a free audiobook from Audible. I may have just given you your new obsession.
I'm Shannon.
And I'm Kim.
And you are listening to From Ring to Veil,
a wedding planning podcast,
where we share tips and information to help you plan the wedding of your dreams.
Without all the stress.
The weather and your plan B. Episode number 83.
In this episode, we're discussing plan B, just in case.
What happens when it rains on your wedding day?
Well, first of all, you can take it as good luck.
Yes. Secondly, if it rains, storms, sleets, hails, windstorm,
tree falls,
and your venue loses power or whatever, it's good to have a plan B.
Do you even know what a plan B is?
Let us help you plan for those just-in-case moments.
Right. So we thought it'd be good to talk about what to do just in case something happens.
First piece of advice, especially here in the Pacific Northwest, be aware of the weather.
That's right. There's always weather.
Weather.
Some kind of weather.
Planning an outdoor wedding in the PNW, you know October, November, rainy, chilly, windy, because it's how it is.
That's just how it is.
So, the first thing is, and I know it seems antiquated and old, you can probably go to farmersalmanac.com, to make it more modern, or you could check out the Farmers Almanac and have the weather history on the day that you want to get married. Weather.com has some great history too, but I mean, the Farmers Almanac, it's tried and true.
Right.
So just look back at historical data on your day for the weather. Has it 60% of it? Has it been sunny?
Right.
Or has it been rainy?
What are they predicting? Of course, you can't really always go by what they predict, but like this year, they say it's going to be a La Nina now, so that means it's colder,
wetter,
and probably more snow.
Right.
So, yeah, I totally agree with that.
Number 2. Choose a venue with indoor and outdoor areas for ceremony and reception. Have versatility in your venue.
Yeah.
Yes, most of the time, I mean, if you're having it during the summer in July and August, you can have an outdoor wedding. It's not, I mean, the percentage of rain for those 2 months in the Pacific Northwest especially, it's not that bad. Spring, fall, winter, outdoor. Here, no. Other places, Texas, yeah. October, November in Texas, hey, have an outdoor wedding. It's tolerable.
Exactly.
It's not 110 degrees in the shade. That's
right. Number 3, I would say plan a plan B with your planner. Plan your plan B with your planner. We always recommend having a planner at least a day of, but they most likely will have some kind of plan B already set in place. But if you plan it with them and go through and understand what's going to happen if you need to move or the time or date or whatever it is, do that. Right. Plan it with your planner.
Make sure your vendors know your plan B. Because if they show up on the day and you're not there, you're going to get you're going to get charged for that and you're not going to be happy. So make sure your vendors know your plan B. Make sure your venue coordinator coordinates with your day of coordinator or your event planner. Set a certain time to be able to change things. If it's an hour before your outdoor ceremony and it's pouring down rain, make your plan B active.
Right.
Because it takes time to set up the ceremony site or whatever. And if it's pouring down rain an hour to 2 hours before your wedding, it's going to be a soppy mess out in your outdoor thing. And so you're going to need to go indoors or find something else.
Right. And it's so It's just so nice if you have a venue where you can go in and out,
right.
in or out, or at least under a tent. I mean, even if it's an outdoor place and you were going to have a tented reception, and the plan B would be to have it underneath the reception site, underneath the tent for the reception site. I mean, it just, like she said, it takes time to set these things up. And if, like, say we're there setting up an arbor or ceremony pieces or whatever, if we knew, we're standing around and, we're supposed to have it set up already, well, we don't know if it's going to rain anymore. It's
right.
just, that will take off so much stress.
Right. Number 4, consider your guests' comfort. Take your guest in consideration for your plan B. It may not be raining, but it may be too hot, cold, or windy.
Mm-hmm.
Your guest will not be comfortable in those conditions.
Right.
I don't want to sit through a 30-minute ceremony freezing my butt off in a hard plastic or wood chair.
Right.
I mean, if it's 30 degrees outside and you have an outdoor ceremony, that's just wrong.
Well, I mean, if you make it known to wear snow gear and whatever,
if you're not having a formal wedding
right.
and it's 30 degrees outside and people can wear their snowshoes and their down coats and
which
snow
might
pants.
be kind of fun.
And snow pants. Sure. But take your guest in consideration. If it's 110 degrees outside and you're having an outdoor wedding at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, that's going to be miserable, not just for you, but for everyone else sitting out there.
Sweating in your nice clothes.
Stinking.
Yeah,
your reception's going to smell really nice.
Number 5, rent a tent just in case. It may not be raining, but you might still need it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it does not have to be just rain. If it's, like I said, 110 degrees outside, you need some shade.
Right.
Number 6. Send out rain cards with your invites. These are just in case. Just in case of inclement weather, the ceremony will take place. Blah, 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 blah.
And, I think it's perfectly acceptable to say your wedding starts at 3. If it's raining, we're going to start at 4. To give it a little time to stop or to get everything changed over to start at 4. Just as long as the guests know ahead of time. Number 7, event insurance. I know we talked about this in a couple shows back.
We're going to have somebody on to talk about
event
insurance.
We do.
I think it's a good topic, especially since last 2 weeks with Hurricane Matthew came through. I know we were at Wedding MBA and everybody was talking about their weddings that weekend that Hurricane Matthew was coming through.
Right.
What do you do? So, event insurance.
Right. It like you said, there is such a thing. We talked about it a little bit before. It's just something that will give you a little money back. First of all, in case you don't want to lose all this $30,000 that you've invested in this wedding.
And, you think, it's not a necessary expense, but is insurance a necessary? Car insurance, life insurance, health insurance. You pay for it and you don't need it until you use it.
Right.
But it's a necessary evil.
Right.
So.
Right. It just kind of covers things, especially like here, and if you're getting married at this time, windstorms are starting. And last weekend, it wasn't as bad as they said. So I think a lot of places really lucked out.
Right.
But sometimes it's worse than they say. And there is no electricity. So...
And you can't have a wedding without electricity because you have food that needs to be kept cold or kept at, the perfect temperature and things like that.
You can have a ceremony, maybe not a reception.
Yeah.
But again, in a windstorm and trees are falling, that's a little bit scary too.
Especially if you're in an out of the way venue that's down in the middle of nowhere and little be 1-lane roads.
Right.
And the tree falls, you're not getting out. So
yeah, it's just a little security and takes a little stress off you.
Right. And especially on the East Coast or the Gulf Coast with the hurricanes, the season, September, October are very prime hurricane times for that area. If there's a venue on the beach or in a hurricane zone and the hurricane comes through and it levels it, you're out of a venue.
You're out.
So, event insurance, it may seem ridiculous, but hey.
And I don't think it's that expensive.
Right. I don't either. Number 8. If it's not storming but sprinkling, Laugh it off. Mm-hmm. Provide umbrellas.
I know here in the PNW, we all have to tough it out and not use umbrellas. But
for some weird reason.
But for a wedding, I think it's a little bit more important.
Right.
You know, it'll be a very memorable moment.
And it's cute. Mm-hmm. Umbrellas are cute. So
get the see-through ones.
Yeah. And your photos will come out really good.
Yeah, I think they'll be cute.
Shadowy and moody and with the storm clouds in the background, you know.
Very, very memorable.
Yeah, and artsy.
Artsy. So what happens if your hired vendors come down, or one of your hired vendors comes down with the flu or a case of meningitis or something like that?
You don't want your vendor to come down with meningitis and do your stuff.
What about if your DJ goes into labor? Huh? What are you going to do? What if your caterer has a breakout of salmonella? Dun, dun, dun. So we advise talking to each vendor about a plan B. What happens?
Right. Like if you've hired this vendor, especially like your caterer, like a year in advance, and all of a sudden you hear these reports of this caterer having cases of salmonella from like months before. Because I mean, sometimes it takes a month or so before this, you know, they really register who it came from,
right? Who
did it. And so, I mean, if they have to shut down because of the health department, are they going to give your money back or, you know, something like that?
Yeah.
So, I mean,
do they have a backup?
Right. So, I mean, talk to your vendors about these just in case things, because, you know, it never knows what happens. So
if you have somebody to step in and take care of everything, it takes a little bit of that stress and anxiety and worry off your mind, and then you can focus on what you need to focus on. Right. I mean, and let's say you have hired a planner a year out and she ends up getting pregnant and goes into labor like the day or a week before you're getting married. What's your plan B? Who's going to be there for you?
Right.
If she has somebody she can call on to come and take her place, that would just be the best situation for both of you. Because it happens. Life happens.
Right. Accidents. You know, we're not trying to be doom and gloom here, but hey, you know.
Think about it, because sometimes these are things that people don't think about when they hire somebody. And again, what if they go out of business? Because that also can happen.
Right.
Do they have somebody to refer you to? So it's raining, it's snowing, a windstorm, a hurricane, and your wedding days today. Take our advice. Have a plan B.
Do you want to know more information about plan Bs? Email us at info@farmingtovail.com. Or if you have any other questions, you know, you can email us. Also, hashtag FromRingToVail on Twitter or Instagram.
Don't miss a show. Subscribe to From Ring to Veil anywhere you listen to podcasts, and please leave us a review.
Until next time, no stress, no worries. Keep calm and listen on. Thank you for listening to our podcast. You can find us on Facebook, From Ring to Veil, on Twitter @From Ring to Veil, and on our website, FromRingToVail.com.
Music provided by bensound.com.